Have you ever come to a place in your life where you feel deceived by God? Throughout the scriptures, we see well intended men and women expressing that level of honesty and openness in their relationship with God. They come to a place where they can say to God, God, you have hurt me. You have let me down. In Jeremiah's case, he was even more direct. We read him saying, "Oh God, you have deceived me, and I was deceived." What would lead a servant of God? What would lead a strong believer in God to come to a place to say openly, God, you have lied to me. You have disappointed me. You have deceived me. Well, perhaps there may be two things to contemplate. One, it is the expectations that persons may have of God in that relationship with Him, that there can be that sense, there can be that relationship type in which there's the openness, there's the honesty to just tell God what you're thinking. Jeremiah in that relationship is able to say to God, God, this is just how I feel. Is there a place for that? In your own encounter with God, in your own relationship with God? Yes, God is beyond deception. God is beyond manipulation. God is beyond mistreating anybody, certainly not his servant. God is beyond all of those things. But in the cut and thrust of relating with God, in the cut and thrust of a relationship that is alive and vibrant, Jeremiah says, God, I think you lied to me. Can anyone say that honestly in that space? We hear Job saying similar things. We hear Ezekiel saying similar things. Not that God is a liar, not that God is dishonest, but in the cut and thrust from the natural, from the human, these men are able to say freely, openly to God, God, I don't think you treated me right in this way. Are we brave enough to do that? Are we honest enough to do that? But secondly, it may be just how we process our expectations of God, how we relate to Him in terms of what we thought could, should, may have been. And here sometimes we find that our expectations sometimes are out of step with what God actually said. Our expectations sometimes are out of sync with what God is actually doing, and sometimes it is in those spaces that we feel betrayed, that we feel let down, that we feel disappointed, because from our end, what we thought God should have done, what we thought God would have done, what we thought God could have done, God did not do. And we miss it. And we feel hurt, and we feel disappointed, and sometimes we feel betrayed that the thing that we thought, the thing that we hoped, the thing that we expected did not come true. And God seemed to be the one to look bad. And God seemed to be the one not to have come true. And God seemed to be the one to have let us down. How do we answer? And how do we deal with those situations? Well, Jeremiah was able to honestly say, Lord, you have deceived me, and I was deceived. But what it did not do is cause Jeremiah to give up or to let go of the God who called him.